Good morning. Welcome to the March 12th Landmarks Commission meeting. Nice to see you in person, and we'll let you sign in while we'll go through the sort of the paperwork side of the meeting while you're signing in. So welcome and thank you for coming in person. It's also nice to see everyone online. In compliance with notification requirements of Ohio Open Meeting Law in Section 101.021 of the Codified Ordinance of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976, notice of this meeting has been publicly posted. All boards and commissions under the purview of the City Planning Department conducts its meetings based on Robert's Rules of Order. Actions during the meeting will be taken by roll call vote. Recusal from any case due to a conflict of interest should be stated for the record prior to the beginning of the presentation. In order to ensure that everyone participating in the meeting has the opportunity to be heard, virtual attendees will use the raised hand feature before asking a question or making a comment. The raised hand feature can be found on the participants panel on the desktop and mobile versions and activated by clicking the hand icon. Please wait for the chair or facilitator to recognize you and be sure to unmute yourself and announce yourself before you speak. When finished speaking, please lower your hand by clicking the raised hand icon again and muting your microphone. Call-in users can unmute by using *6. All meeting activities are being recorded via the WebEx platform. These proceedings are also being live streamed via YouTube. All requests to speak on a particular matter submitted through the proper channels have been considered. Proper channels for comments are sending an email to the landmark at clevelandohio.gov email address with a comment or letter, calling or leaving a message at 216-664-2532, or sending a letter or dropping off comments at City Hall located at 601 Lakeside Avenue, Suite 519. Communications with members of this body must follow proper channels for consideration. Any comments received by the stated deadline are collected by Landmark staff and disseminated to the commission members prior to any scheduled meeting.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To go through the meeting rules and procedures, the chair will call each agenda item and then each applicant will be invited to proceed through their presentation. Each presentation should be completed prior to questions and comments from the commission in order to facilitate a smooth presentation. Once the presentation is concluded, the chair will ask Landmark staff to summarize Design Review Advisory Committee recommendations and any public comments received. The deadline for public comment is noon on the Tuesday prior to any regularly scheduled Cleveland Landmarks Commission meeting. Any received comments are distributed to commission members prior to the meeting. The staff will also identify any members of the public present and scheduled to speak. Public comment is allowed at the discretion of the chair, and any individual providing public comment is permitted 2 minutes to speak to the agenda item in which they have an interest. The chair will then request a recommendation from staff. The commission will then begin deliberation and project review. Any commission member except the chair may make a motion at any point after an agenda item has been called.
Then we will call the March 12th, 2026 Landmark Commission meeting to order. Mr. Musson, please call roll.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did want to note before I call the roll that we have a new commission member. I'd like to welcome Brooke Saban, our newest city council representative.
Welcome. Thank you.
So we'll go on with roll. Ms. Anderson. Mr. Dulick. Here. Councilmember Gray. Mr. Lozier. Here. Director Mersman. Ms. Saban.
Here.
Mr. Sambry. Here. Mr. Strickland.
Here.
Mr. Trasick.
Here.
Dr. Williams.
Here.
And Ms. Trott.
Here.
Madam Chair, we do have a quorum. I'd also like to note that we have Jessica Beam and myself present from the Landmarks office, and our representative from Law, Sierra Lipscomb, is joining us.
Excellent. All right, then we will begin with our certificates of appropriateness. We'd like to welcome the first applicant to the forward to tell us about your project. But before we do that, we do need a motion to untable.
I'll make a motion to untable.
We have a motion. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Are you have a motion and a second? Mr. Musson, please call roll.
Ms. Anderson, or I'm sorry, Mr. Dulick,
Yes.
Mr. Lozier,
Yes.
Ms. Saban,
Yes.
Mr. Sambry,
Yes.
Mr. Strickland,
Yes.
Mr. Trasick,
Yes.
Dr. Williams,
Yes.
and Ms. Trott.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
Okay. Excellent. So we'd like to welcome our first applicant. Please announce yourself and tell us about the updates to your project since we last saw you.
Hi, my name is Eric Anderley. Yes, this was about a month ago that we had some feedback. So this updated presentation.
Oh. We lost him. We'll give him a second.
There he is.
Not sure what happened. Sorry about that. All right.
No problem.
So I'll just start over. My name is Eric Anderley, this presentation reflects the feedback from last month's meeting. Our building is 6229 through 6235. If you want to proceed. It's the St. Clair Savings and Loan Building. Next slide. Just a refresher, we're discussing the storefront, namely the paint on the masonry as well as the wood trim, and then the two doors on the bottom left of that image, the wood door and then the steel door with the glass. If you want to go to the next page. This is mostly the same as last meeting, but actually, yeah, if you don't mind going to the next one, the more detail on the next page. Sorry. So the wood trim paint, instead of being like an off-white, it's more beige to match the existing paint that's left on the building. The black masonry paint will still be black to match. And then I talked to our manufacturer about doing glass inserts. Yep, this is great. For the two doors instead of being solid steel. And then we are ignoring the window wraps altogether. We discussed it internally and decided that we'll just give up on that approach and instead put window blinds up. So the stars mark where blinds will be put up on the inside of the building. And then the steel frames around the glass will be painted. Oh, sorry, if you go back one more, will be painted to match the bank steel there. And those are the updates.
Excellent. Thank you for the very precise overview of what changed. We appreciate it. There's no internal or Landmark staff comments.
Staff appreciates the changes that were made since the last meeting and recommends issuance of a certificate of appropriateness.
Okay, excellent. Then we'll open up the floor to the commission for questions and comments. Guess I would echo the staff's comments. So we appreciate you, listening to our comments and incorporate them, and look forward to seeing this project move forward. And I'm in full support. And other questions and comments from the commission? Someone like to put forward a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll put forward a motion. A motion to approve as presented in this presentation.
All right, so we have a motion for approval. Do we have a second?
I'll make a second.
All right. Mr. Dulick, I think you raised your hand first. So we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. Mr. Musson, please call roll.
Here, Mr. Dulick? Yes. Mr. Lozier?
Yes.
Ms. Saban?
Yes.
Mr. Sandberg? Yes. Mr. Strickland?
Yes.
Mr. Trasick?
Yes.
Dr. Williams?
Yes.
And Ms. Trott?
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
All right, congratulations. We look forward to seeing your project move forward.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. We'll now move on to the next applicant located at 9716 Lorraine Avenue, Total Wireless Signage and Storefront. Before we welcome the applicant, we do need a motion to untable. Mr. Dulick?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to make a motion to untable.
All right, thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sandberry. Motion second. And Mr. Musson, please call roll.
Just for clarification, are we untabling both case 26-006 and case 26-007, since we're kind of hearing them together?
Mr. Dulick, do you agree with that? Are we untabling both? I would recommend that.
Madam Chair, I agree with untabling both.
Okay, Mr. Sandberry? All right, with full approval or agreement, Mr. Nelson, please call roll.
Mr. Dulick? Yes. Mr. Lozier?
Yes.
Ms. Saban?
Yes.
Mr. Sambry? Yes. Mr. Strickland?
Yes.
Mr. Trassick?
Yes.
Dr. Williams?
Yes.
And Ms. Trott?
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
Excellent. We'd like to welcome our applicant to tell us about your project or the updates to your project. Do we have she was there earlier, wasn't she?
Yes, she's here.
All right, Ferraris, right?
Good morning.
Yeah, Jenny. Good morning.
Hi.
Uh,
Can you hear
well,
me? Well?
We can hear you now. Yes. Welcome and please tell us about your project updates.
Hi. This time we have a new project at 9616 Lorraine Avenue. This is for a total wireless. I think this is our third meeting, if I'm right. On this time we are going to present the sign as a channel letters. If you could please move the presentation. Okay. Yeah. As you can see here, we have an illuminated channel letters with the backer. This time they will be installed on the front of the building. So you can please move the presentation. Here we go. So as you can see, we have a little structure like an awning, but actually this is just like a tubing support, so we can install the sign on top of it. Something similar as we did with the daycare that we have on the same location. If you can please move the presentation. Oh,
It looks like that was your last slide of the presentation. Was that all you,
Okay.
did that conclude your presentation?
okay. Yeah, so as you can see, we changed the structure that we proposed at the beginning of this project. We are planning to do a rail system as an like an awning, but it's not an awning. This is just a structure to attach the channel letters on it. With the little backer, so the light could be lighted up at night. You can see the measurements there. I think is that it. Do you have any questions so far?
Before we move on to our questions, we appreciate the presentation and we'll go to staff comments or recommendations.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, staff has met with the applicant, the building owner, and the contractor on this project. We're both on the call, and we're supporting the changes that are being presented to the building. Essentially, they've agreed to restore the transom windows that were covered over at some point, and to reinstate the recess that's been sort of flattened out recently as well. So these most recent drawings, renderings reflect the transoms being reintroduced. And then our understanding of the project is that a raceway will be placed kind of covering the transom bar that stretches across the storefront, and then the channel letters will sit on top of that. I think a little more clarification would be helpful. If the signage is, the channel letters are front and backlit, because there's different images show and say different things. So just some clarification. If they're just face lit, front lit, that's fine. If they're backlit, they'll require some sort of panel behind them. I think one of the images shows a panel that is kind of cut out to mimic the or outline the letters. So I think just that level of clarification would be helpful, but we're supportive of the direction and would recommend approval pending those final details.
Okay, thank you. We'll then open up the floor of the commission for questions and comments. I guess similar to the last presentation, I appreciate the applicant listening to our feedback from the last meeting and do support the new proposal of the new signage on the rail in that aligns with the new transoms and the recessed door opening. Any other feedback or questions or comments from the commission? Closure?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is maybe more of a question for staff. Is any variance needed for the size of the sign, or is this within the square footage allotment?
My understanding is that this is within the square footage allotment for the storefront. I don't think we've heard anything contrary from zoning to that, but, I mean, playing it safe, you could, include granting any needed variances to the signage code in your, motion if you so choose.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, and I echo the comments from staff and from Madam Chair. I would like the applicant to respond to the staff's questions about how this sign is being lit, et cetera.
Sorry, could you repeat the question? How designed?
Yes, through the chair. I think there's just some question about what's actually being presented. On this image, it shows sort of an outline of the letters that appears to be a panel behind it and the sign being face lit and backlit. And then in the next page, it shows a raceway with the channel letters being mounted directly to those. And I didn't see a panel behind them in that image. So I was just curious if they're face lit and backlit or just face lit.
Oh, they are face and backlit. The little thing that you can see here, like a panel at the back, this is a B-bond structure that we need to do in order to light up the color, the blue color at night, as you can see on the night view, because this brand require this type of illumination. If you can please change the presentation, I can show you. Here we go. As you can see, it shows like a gray color. That gray color represent that little beep bomb panel because it's a little bit tiny. This is just to reboot the lights at night. So I mean that will cover the backlit illumination. So yeah, it's front and backlit illumination.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Mr. Strickland, did you have your hand up?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Lozier, Commissioner Lozier asked the same question that I was going to ask in terms of the applicant confirming that they would be able to provide the details requested by staff.
Okay, excellent. Other questions and comments from the commission? Would someone like to put forward a motion?
Through the chair, just as a reminder, these are two separate cases. So we have the signage case and then we have the storefront work as a separate case. Which I'm not sure if we want to, since the owner is on the call, if we want to confirm that he's in agreement with restoring the transom windows and the recess, since it's shown in the drawings, but we don't have any additional info, and just since he's here, and I guess hearing it from his mouth instead of mine probably would be helpful.
All right, would the owner like to respond?
Hello, it's Josh, the owner. Yeah, that's correct. We did have a call the other day, and I agreed to re-implementing the recessed door and the transom windows as shown in the image. The only question I guess I might have is the architect used the Google image to redraw the facade of the store to its historic look. I don't know. Obviously, we won't be able to get it per this inch. I just was curious how specific you guys are with the measurements to be exactly how they were previously. I mean, essentially, it'll be as close as we can get them, as the architect can try and mimic the Google image. But yeah, that was the only question I had. But yeah, I agree to restoring it as shown in the image.
I think we are in alignment there, but before proceeding, we would ask you to submit the details of that to staff for final review and approval. You wouldn't have to come back to here, but staff would just need to look at those so they understand what those dimensions are before proceeding with construction.
That sounds good. I was probably gonna pull a permit for it, assuming the architect has the dimensions and everything in his drawing, and submit that maybe next week.
And through the chair, Josh, staff is happy to meet you out in the field if that's helpful to kind of, look at the drawings you have and kind of look at what's there currently and make sure we're all on the same page.
All right, that sounds wonderful. I'll reach out maybe to Jessica's email. Jessica Beam, is that the right way to do it, or?
Yeah, sure. And I'll be sending you an email, a letter after this meeting so you can reach out to me as well.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so excellent. Thank you for clarifying that, Josh. Then would someone like to make a motion on the first case 26006, which is related to the signage? Is that correct?
Mhm.
Mr. Lozier?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve as presented.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve. Do you have a second?
Second.
And Mr. Dulick, thank you for the second. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. Mr. Muslim, please call roll.
All right, Mr. Dulick,
Yes.
Mr. Lozier,
Yes.
Ms. Saban,
Yes.
Mr. Sandberg,
Yes.
Mr. Strickland,
Yes.
Mr. Trassick,
Yes.
Dr. Williams,
Yes.
and Ms. Trott.
Yes,
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
excellent. Would someone like to make a motion on the second case 26-007 related to the restoration of the transom details, windows, and the recessed door?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve with the requirement that the detailed drawings be reviewed and presented with staff for final approval.
All right, so we have a motion to approve with a condition. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Sandberg. We have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? Seeing any? Mr. Wilson, please call roll.
Mr. Dulick,
Yes.
Mr. Lozier,
Yes.
Ms. Saban,
Yes.
Mr. Sandberg,
Yes.
Mr. Strickland,
Yes.
Mr. Trassick,
Yes.
Dr. Williams,
Yes.
and Ms. Trott.
Yes,
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
excellent. Congratulations. We look forward to seeing your project move forward. We'll now move on to our third applicant, the studios at 1515-1515 West 29th Street, new signage.
Good morning, everyone. This is John Benedict with Berlin Electric Sign Company. I'm joined here with Jack Maxwell and also Scott Maloney with K2M Design.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How's everybody doing?
Good, thank you.
Good. So yeah, this is Jack. I'm gonna kind of walk through this project a little bit. First slide there shows the location of where the sign is gonna be on the backside of that building there. I know there was a very extensive amount of time that we used to research kind of the placement of this sign here. We looked at some different areas and with the tree lining there, that is there and not wanting to lose all of that. This was one of the best locations for visibility on the backside of that building there. And also the power lines running along the front side of the building there. That is also a super restrictive area that we kind of had to avoid with having the proper equipment to be able to make sure that it's installed safely. So that's for that first slide there. The next slide is just showing for the next few slides, just showing the different vantage point areas of where the sign will be visible from and kind of looking summertime wise where that sign will be. Next slide, please. This is piggybacking off that last slide, just kind of showing those different areas. Next slide as well will be the same. And then next slide as well will also be the same there. All right, and then next slide, please. And then this slide is showing the sign. So what we're proposing is a 12-foot tall by 2-foot wide, mounted on 8-inch custom anchor or brackets that will be anchored into the building there. It will be a double-faced, internally illuminated, fabricated aluminum projecting sign with routed out copy and on the sign there, which will be backed up on the sign by acrylic. For the cutout openings, and then it will have LED illumination on the inside that will illuminate the studios at 1515. The cabinet will be painted bronze metallic, and then the text wall remain white on that. Next slide, please. For this slide, just kind of showing the construction of the sign. And showing how the mounting method of mounting this sign, and showing some of the internal where the LEDs are going to be and everything like that, how it will be illuminated. And that should be that. I don't know if there's any specific questions at this time, or I know that there might be a review from first.
Great, thank you for the presentation. Before we get to our questions, we're going to review Design Review Advisory Committee recommendations and staff recommendations.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This project was reviewed by the Historic Ohio City Design Review Advisory Committee on March 5th. And the committee did not have quorum at that meeting, but the committee members present did not state any issues for the proposed signage.
Thank you. And Landmark staff recommendation?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Much like the Historic Ohio City Committee members, we don't see any issues with the sign or the proposal. Did want to note it's located within a PUD, a planned urban development overlay. So there's potentially some zoning issues just because there's needs some clarity on is the signage for a ground floor tenant or is it for the entire building? So again, we have no issues with the proposal, so we would recommend approval in granting any variances to the signage code and then support for any other variances needed, since we're not sure. Assuming it will need variances, just not sure if they're ones that fall under the signage code or other zoning.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. And then we'll open up the floor to the commission for questions and comments. Mr. Strickland?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I can't tell from the details. It looks like they're fastening into the brick fascia. I wonder if the mounting can be limited to mortar joints and not into the brick face itself.
Yep, absolutely. That's always our goal, to make sure that we're keeping the structure and the look of the building brick wise and always going into the mortar joints. That's always our goal when going on site there.
All right. As long as that's confirmed, then I have no problem with this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Strickland. Mr. Samberry?
I was going to mention the same thing as Mr. Strickland. I also want to add wherever that pigtail or the electrical is coming out of the building, also through mortar joint where possible.
Okay, great point. Excellent. Any other questions and comments from the commission? Someone like to make a motion?
I have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Luger.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess just understanding the placement of the sign. So you mentioned, I think along West 29th, there's power lines there, which are limiting your ability to put a sort of a face mounted sign onto the face of the building. I just want to make sure that I understand kind of that, because this is a tricky location in that there's a lot of, tree coverage, and just thinking about visibility from, West 29th and Clinton. It seems like really the only visibility of this is primarily, as you're sort of approaching the building on West 29th or further east on Clinton Avenue.
Yeah, so with that, at this point, we're looking to get this one installed where we're at this point. At the door area, potentially in the future, we may look into potentially coming back to the board and looking for approval on a more of a ground level sign. Just kind of seeing what we get out of the visibility of this sign at this point. But that is something that we did look into potentially doing something a little bit smaller down on the ground level, just for identification to make sure. But very good point there.
And then with the image that's on the screen now, is that the main sort of building entrance?
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
It's
Gotcha.
at the middle bottom of that image.
Got it. Thank you. No further questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lozier. Any other questions? I'm sorry, Mr. Sandberry?
Yes, thank you. I guess piggybacking on what Secretary Munson said, is this a whole building tenant? Is this the first floor tenant?
Certainly. This is, guys, this is Scott Maloney. I'm the owner of the building. 1515 West 29th Street. The studios at 1515 is the name of the entire building. The studios are going to provide like small practical office space and studio suites, specifically around independent professionals and emerging companies. It's a no frills office space, and it really takes advantage of all of the existing character that building presents itself. It's broken up perfectly for it.
Thank you.
Yes.
All right, excellent. Other questions and comments from the commission? Someone like to make a motion? I'm sorry, Mr. Dooley.
Yeah, quick question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Through the chair to the applicant, how far back from the facade of the building is this blade sign set?
Site plan, probably. Oh, are you saying how far is it projecting off the building?
Yeah, it's like, it's around the corner from the facade that faces 29th, right?
Yeah, it's projecting out the building about 8 inches and probably, give or take 20, 30 feet from the road.
But from the corner of the building, what is the distance from that, I think is what you're looking for, since we don't see an elevation of it.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That is correct. It's the distance between, I'm mostly concerned about the fact that you have these plates of a certain size and want to know the distance from the corner of the building to that plate.
Got it. Okay, yeah, and that's gonna depend on getting the power through that side of the building there and where it's gonna be landing. So I would say probably within 5 feet of that corner, just making sure that we leave space to, like you said, with the plates. And then probably as close as possible to that corner that is safely installed.
Okay, through the chair, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments? Someone like to make a motion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to make a motion to approve as presented with the requirement that all required penetrations, be they bolts or electrical connections, be through the mortar joints, and a requirement that the distance from the corner of the building be reviewed and approved by Landmark staff, and support for any and all variances that are or may be required. And granting any variances
Yes,
to the signage code?
Yes, granting any variances to the signage code. Thank you, Mr. Muss.
It's a lot, but.
All right,
Did I catch
excellent.
everything?
Yes, that's
You're
all
good.
I had written. I just want to make sure it was okay for Mr. Musson. So we have a motion with conditions. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mrs. Samberg. We have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. Mr. Musson, please go on.
Right, Mr. Doodle? Yes. Mr. Lozier,
Yes.
Ms. Saban,
Yes.
Mr. Sembry.
Yeah.
Mr. Strickland,
Yes.
Mr. Trassick,
Yes.
Dr. Williams,
Yes.
and Ms. Trot.
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
All right, congratulations. We look forward to seeing your project move forward.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody, for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
We'll now move on to our fourth applicant located at 1191 Martin Luther King Drive, Junior Drive, the Syrian Cultural Garden. Hello, welcome. Go sit right up here. And if you don't mind just pushing the button to turn on the microphone for our records. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for running the slides. Ethan, go ahead. This is related to the Syrian Cultural Garden with our main feature. Can you put the slide, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Could you introduce yourself for our records, just so we have it for the written record?
Okay, Wael Khoury. I'm the president of the Syrian Cultural Garden.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
And yeah, housekeeping, Jessica can either advance your slides or the little clicker in front of you can also advance them if you'd like. There's just a little bit of a delay when you push the button, so give it a second. There you go. Sometimes more than a little delay.
It went too far.
There you go.
Okay, so this is our main feature if you're familiar with the cultural gardens, and it's a major structure that we put together in 2011 when we dedicated the garden. So the material here was sandstone, and it served, these 14, 15 years, but in 2024, we noticed significant cracks in the arch. I'll show you the cracks. You can see the cracks. And you can see the back. The picture on the left shows the crack from the back side. And on the right, you see deterioration. So the board engaged, several technical people to see what would be the best option to remedy this. And the advice was, it depends on the budget, basically. One option was to change the arch. Let me back up. To change the central arch and the two shoulders on the sides that are ornamented. They have this carving on it with a concrete option. And I brought this to this committee in 2024, and the committee approved that option. We deliberated for 2 years. It's not an easy decision. And we deliberated for 2 years at the board what would be really the best option for the long run. And the long run, this structure is very important structure in the city and, in the garden and in the park. And we want to have lasting effect in safety and security and pass it to the new generation of the community in good shape. Easy to take care of, and nobody will worry about it, 50 years from now with more problems. Obviously, the budget issue was an issue, but the community rallied around this. And we thought the best way is to change the whole feature, the whole structure with a granite option. So that's as strong of a material as there is in nature. And so we pursued that option with several outfits. And we, priced what would be, reasonable and what would be doable. And we had several quotes, and we landed on what Mr. Milano, Jim Milano, and Mike Milano offered. They have Milano Monuments, well-known outfit in the city. And the cost is going to be material and installation, $103,000. They drew this general picture, and the next one is the measurement. There will be increase in the diameter and the thickness of each element in the structure, with an increase of 2 to 3 inches. So it will be thicker and stronger and well suited for the future, durability. I have copies in paper if you like, if you wish to give you a copy. Any question about the structure here, about the drawing?
We're going to hold our questions till after you
Okay.
finish.
Okay, thank you. The closest, it's not easy to find granite that has sand color with no veins, because granite usually has many veins and shapes. And with the help of the Milano team, they landed on this option. So that's what we're considering at this time. The half on the left is the polished part, and the rough part on the right side. We may use, most likely we'll use combination. The columns would be the polished type or side, and the rough one will be in between fillings, so it will be more natural looking. We also found that the floor of the garden is wearing down very badly also. Again, it's a sandstone and a lot of tough weather in Cleveland, and the snow and humidity and water and stuff. So there are a lot of damages because we have these 3 steps theater under the arch, and then the main floor, as you see on the bottom of the picture. So the estimate size of the theater, the 3 steps theater, is close to 800 square feet. And the surrounding floor for the rest of the garden is around 2,000 square feet. So we're talking about close to 3,000 square feet. And we also, looked into what would be the best option. And we're proposing using the Unilock concrete pavers, Unilock concrete pavers. Unilock is the main company that makes pavers, concrete pavers around and used around the city. So these are examples of the damages and what the weather did to the floor in different locations. And these are just small samples. There are a lot of locations on the floor that are wearing off like this. So we checked the catalog of Unilock, and we're leaning to use this pattern. It's called Bavarian pattern. It has little multicolor in it. And Milano will be able also to replace the floor in the theater area and then the main floor. So the total budget is close to 160,000. And we have, reasonable commitment to be able to do it. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Before we get to our feedback, we are going to get recommendations from the Design Review Advisory Committee.
Yeah, this This is Tom Turkley. I'm the executive director here at the Cleveland Cultural Gardens. Yes, our design and preservation committee reviewed and recommended approval to the executive board for this project. Subsequently, the executive board also unanimously approved going forward with the replacement of these two items in the Syrian garden.
Excellent. Thank you for that recommendation. That feedback. We'll then move on to landmark staff recommendation.
And thank you, Madam Chair. As the applicant noted, we have seen a very similar case at the Syrian Cultural Garden. Previously, it was case 24-083, and that was for repair and replacement of portions of the arch with precast concrete, and then pavers being approved by this commission on October 10th, 2024. So we're happy to see them returning with a higher quality material. I think the granite will really hopefully last a lot longer than the sandstone did.
I hope so.
And I think we, as staff, just had some questions about the extent of the paver replacing, but it sounds like you're doing sort of the upper area, the stairs, and the lower area.
We're committed to do at this stage, we're committed to do the structure and the theater based on the budget, which is around 140.
Okay.
135, 140 for that part. And then stage 2, by the time they start the construction, we're hoping we have few months, because they have to order the granite and stuff. So we're hoping by the time they start the construction, we'll be able to do the entire floor.
Understood. So, yeah, staff would recommend approval of, I guess, replacing all of the existing sandstone paving with the new pavers and the replacement of the arch, assuming that the design meets the same design as the existing. So some, I guess, more detailed drawings would be helpful before they actually move to production.
Thank you.
Of the arch?
Of the arch, yes.
Did we receive the detailed drawings prior to the presentation?
I guess what was shown today is what we have.
Okay, I didn't know if
at this
anything
point.
else was.
So, they submitted yesterday, I think, an addendum that just sort of showed the increased depth that the applicant mentioned, but the details of where the columns are going to be and what the cornice is going to look like, that sort of thing.
Yeah, that's the drawing, the official drawing.
Okay. All right, excellent. Thank you for that feedback and the recommendation. We'll then open up the floor to the commission for questions and comments. Who'd like to start us off? I guess I will start off. I mean, seeing this through the the progression of, development, it is nice to see you come back with the higher grade materials.
Thank you.
And I'm in full support of it, but would just echo what staff said, is that we'd like you to just probably submit a plan that just shows your minimum phase 1, replacement. So just we're clear. I know ideally you're going to replace it all, but just so that we know what the extent is if you aren't able to secure the funds to do it all. And then the details on the arch dimensions in a little bit more detail, so that staff can review and approve those final details.
So we'll submit that information in a letter to the committee? Okay.
Correct. But I'm in full support of the upgrade to the arch and the flooring.
Okay. So there will be, is this formal approval, or you need to see the letter first?
We need to just finish this and allow a few other people to speak, and we're going to take a vote, but then you would need to submit those things before you start construction.
Okay.
Mr. Strickland?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just echo your comments and commend the applicant for not implementing the originally approved scheme for reconstruction of the arch, and congratulate them on a successful funding campaign to implement this higher quality material that is meant to last for many, many years. And it'll be a wonderful contribution to the cultural gardens. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Strickland. Well said. Any other questions or comments? Mr. Lozier?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, just for clarification. So the intent is that all of the decorative carving on the arches and the friezes will be replicated in the new design?
Yes, as much as possible. I mean, there will be ornamentation there, but it's a three-dimensional, and we're discussing with Milano about polishing it and doing it as close as possible.
Thank you. I'm in agreement with my colleagues as well. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Any other questions and comments from the commission? Would someone like to make a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve as presented, with the requirement that detailed drawings come to staff when they're ready, and the overall plan, as well as submitted.
Excellent. So we have a motion with the requirement that the detailed drawings be submitted to staff for approval along with a plan showing the paver replacement. Do we have a second? Mr. Dulick? Thank you for the second. Any further discussion? Mr. Lozier?
Oh, thank you, Madam Chair. I think it would also be helpful if samples of the granite and the pavers be submitted to staff with the detailed drawings as well for review and final approval.
Okay.
The actual paver, you like the actual paver?
Yeah, just to understand the color and the texture and how it relates to the sandstone, or sorry, the granite, just to make sure everything feels, as a cohesive design.
So we'll bring them physically here?
Or a small sample if you have it.
Well, we have,
Or a big one.
We can come out to Milano
Yeah,
or
or
something
that, yeah.
as well, if that's more helpful.
you can?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's much easier. Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Samberry, do you agree? Mr. Dulick, do you agree with adding that? Excellent.
Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Lozier. Any further discussion? All right, that's unanimous. Mr. Musson, please call roll.
All right, Mr. Dulick?
Yes.
Councilmember Gray?
I just got here, so I'm abstaining.
Mr. Lozier?
Yes.
Ms. Saban?
Yes.
Mr. Samberry?
Yes.
Mr. Strickland?
Yes.
Mr. Trassick?
Yes.
Dr. Williams?
Yes.
And Ms. Trot?
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously with one abstention.
All right, congratulations.
Thank
We
you
look
very
forward to
much.
seeing
Thank you for your time.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
for coming. That concludes our certificates of appropriateness for today. We'll now move on to our schematic plan reviews. We have one applicant on the agenda located at 5013 Franklin Boulevard, new construction.
You guys can pull up more chairs if you guys all
You
want.
can all come up.
Press the button on the front of the mic and then, the little.
Actually, the mic first. That's it.
It's not the thing in the middle, it's off to the right to advance the slides, and there is a dramatic pause.
Okay.
So,
All right. Hello, Landmarks Commission members, in person and virtually. I'm representing Kluger Crate, a project manager, architectural designer, also at Kluger Crate, Chris, GC, Billy, the owner of the development. So yeah, we're proposing a new development at 5013 Franklin Boulevard. Here's an aerial shot of the property and the parcel layout relative to the roads. You can see it's a fairly congested area, so we're trying to maximize the development area, capitalize on the actual living space for what's there. Here are some examples of architectural buildings and their styles nearby. Can't really read it, but the one in the center top is the most pertinent. The owner owns the building off to the left, Billy, and the structure behind that, that's on one parcel, and the actual parcel being developed is the one to the right. So frame of reference, try to remember that moving forward. You can see the driveway is going to be splitting the new and existing structures. All of these other structures are immediately in the surrounding area. Here is a closer more detailed site plan. You can see the driveway pulling in, the existing structure off to the left that I previously mentioned in the other photo, the structure in the back. Those are both just single-family residents. The lower left-hand one facing north is going to be a single-family residence, and the structure behind it is going to be 2 condos conjoined. You can also see some referencing other structures outside of the actual property that's not in our scope, but just a frame of reference for distance. Here's the single-family residence on Franklin Boulevard, the actual one you see from the street view. You can see on the front right, or the top right, is the front facade. We've gone back and forth with the Ohio City Historical District Committee and taken a lot of pointers from them. We raised the porch. We provided some shaker details at the edge of the porch, brought it off the ground to match similar structures nearby, added some additional pediments to the porch and second floor, and appropriately scaled the windows on the first floor, made them more grand and vertical and narrow. So we focused a lot of those design elements on the front facade, and then around the sides and backs, it was just to continue that design and character, but not have such embellished designs for logical costs and components. So on the front, you can kind of see plank panels. That's a cedar mill. The material is going to be hardy board composite siding. We're going to have a sage green shaker at the top portions and the pediments as an accent. And then black architectural shingles throughout. Don't have a specific white for all the trim components yet, but that's the direction we're leaning. Here's the back structure, the conjoined duplex condominiums. They're 3 stories. We try to minimize the mass and the overall visual distraction from the road. So we made the previous front structure higher and brought this one below 35 feet to maintain access for fire trucks and safety equipment. Made the slope a single shed roof style, once again, to eliminate the granderness of it. And then also simplified the actual textures. So we have like a slate gray panels. You can see on the vertical sides where the double sliding glass windows are. And then on the right side or the second section, we again followed and used the cedar mill panels, plank panels for that design. So carrying over some characteristics from the front house, but also trying to keep it independent. Definitely carries a more modern design. And we try to carry some of like the Italianate styles from the neighboring structures with the corbels. I know this was kind of a discussion in the previous meetings, if we're leaning more modernistic or trying to stay conventional. So we try to do a blend of both. Love to hear your guys' points on that and your thoughts. Here it is again. So side profiles. We'll go to, here's floor plans, not extremely pertinent to this committee. Here's just not as detailed, but an intent on landscaping, just some landscaping around the front of the house, some planters. We can provide more detail on that, and just a closer aerial view and color differential of what's going on between pavement and grass and topo solids. Just overall access as well for vehicles and the existing structures nearby. Here's some 3D renderings of those properties in reference to one another and kind of giving some more depth and texture involvement and shading for your frame of reference so it can be visualized better. And that's the end of the committee meeting or not the meeting, but this presentation.
Excellent, thank you.
Yep.
We appreciate the presentation. Before we get to our comments, we'll move on to Design Review Advisory Committee recommendations.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This project was reviewed by the Historic Ohio City Design Review Advisory Committee. Schematically, they first met February 5th. At that time, there's a slightly different site plan, a slightly different proposal. And so the committee had a lot of concerns that they noted on the site plan, curb cut, questions on parking, and recommendation to explore options for windows and materials, and noting that the front home should be more dominant over the rear building. And so they came back in March 5th, which was an overall more positive meeting. They got a lot more comments about they changed the site plan to what you're seeing today, changed the front building to what you're seeing today. And so there was some of the committee members had comments about the elements of modern and historic on the rear building, kind of noting to go in one direction versus the other. They had more comments on the rear building for proportions of windows to study and to make sure that it doesn't overpower the front building. And noted the sliding window on the front didn't fit with the rest of the design, and kind of wanting to see color swatches as it moved forward. And yeah, most of the concerns are for the multi-unit in the rear. But overall, a lot of the comments are positive towards moving forward.
Excellent, thank you. And then staff recommendations.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Staff has met with the applicants on a couple different occasions, and we appreciate the changes that you guys have made as a result of our meetings and then the Historic Ohio City Design Review Committee recommendations. We look forward to seeing this progress and move through our process, and certainly appreciate the changes you guys have made, and encourage the applicants to, instead of going back to Historic Ohio City with another draft rendering, to hear from you guys what your thoughts are, because there are a few questions in particular. I think there's a lot of discussion at the local committee as to, should it lean modern or more traditional, and it's trying to do both. Should they pick one, or is finding a happy medium a good idea? So I think the applicant would appreciate input on that in particular, but then just the rest of the design. So
All right, excellent. Then we will open up the floor of the commission for questions and comments. Who'd like to start us off? Ms. Strickland?
Thank you, Madam Chair. In looking at the various elevations, the way the project is being presented, it seems to me that the structure in the rear will almost be invisible from Franklin Boulevard. So I'd like the applicant's perspective in terms of whether that element of the project will actually be visible. And if it isn't, I think that the applicant would benefit from showing a better context presentation in terms of existing structures and how this project will actually be viewed from the street in actuality when it's completed.
You're correct. Visibility is going to be extremely minimal from the roadway, unless you literally stand on the sidewalk and maybe peek around the back, especially with the adjoining structures. So I agree that we can definitely add some visual perspectives from the roads and show some massing of the other existing structures nearby. And foliage.
I think that the commission would benefit from seeing the perspective. But I think the structure in the front is totally appropriate and will be complementary to the historic fabric in the neighborhood. So I'd be in favor of the project. And, so how the rear building evolves, I think as a practical matter will be of little consequence to the overall project. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Strickland. Mr. Stanberry?
Thank you, Madam Chair. First, I want to say I think you've done a great job at meeting both the modern look and matching within the historic context. I think the front building matches the historic context of the neighborhood a lot better than the back. And I think you did a great job of you know, having fun with the back building because it is going to be less visible. And so I don't have a major issue with the back building whatsoever. My biggest point is there are not no side gables, but very few side gabled buildings in Ohio City. Almost all of them, the gable fronts the building. So I would recommend looking at that and seeing how that plays out. I don't think that would change much other than your attic windows. But I think that would help it just make it feel a lot more cohesive to the neighborhood.
Okay.
And then otherwise, I guess my other question is in your photos, there's a lot of cars in the parking lot that is currently occupying that lot. Who parks there and where are they going to park?
I'll take this one. So originally with our first meeting, it was just looking for pure guidance. Billy owns both lots. Everybody parking in the empty parcel currently is either just somebody random in the area that has no rights to be parking there, or possibly one of the two tenants in his existing. And their first recommendation was that we needed to add parking. I mean, there's street parking, but nowhere in that area. You cannot park on the street right now. So between on the other parcel, we proposed 5 parking spots. They appeared to like it when we met the second time. When we met the third time, they had an issue with headlights pointing towards a neighbor, headlights pointing back towards the new buildings we built. Somebody suggested we're making more problems than it's worth adding parking because we're removing it. They suggested we ditch parking altogether. So the new construction we're proposing has attached garages, covers parking for there. And they said plenty of people are forced in that area to park on the street, walk to their home. So we removed the parking from the other parcel that Billy owns. And they said if we wanted to add it down the road, we could, but let's not make more problems than there need to be.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I was just wondering, since you own the second lot, if there was shared parking, if there's shared driveway.
To be honest, the tenants there have issues with people parking there all the time. So I would like to put 2 or 3 parking spots back there for them. And then that's like out of the way. No one sees it from the street. No one's going to go back there and park there that shouldn't be. But all the other houses, the 3 houses down from that, all don't have parking. So they all park on the street and walk. So that's pretty typical of the area. So however the community decides, I'm happy to go either way.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Sandberg. Other questions and comments? I guess I'll make my comments on the corbels. Not quite sold on them, to be honest. I think I can go either way, but I don't know if they are adding to the design. And you have the modern, but then that is a traditional, element. So I'm on the fence of those. I'm not in love with them. I won't say I hate them, but they're just not totally sold on them right now. So as you develop them, I just look at that. And if you are going to use them, make sure that they're a modern interpretation and not a traditional, so
Okay.
that it's very evidence that you are taking a modern approach versus the historical scrolled, corbel. Are you putting pavers on? You were talking about your paving versus your pavement versus paver locations in the last site plan. Are you putting pavers on the other side of the road opposite the buildings?
I don't believe that's going to be the case. I mean, we're probably going to just do blacktop to the entryways. Do you have?
a couple meetings ago, they recommended when we eliminated the 5 parking spots between the 2 existing homes, that when we delete that, to give a walking path for those two tenants at least to get to the home. We added in the drawing a paver walkway. The walkway most likely will not be pavers. It'll just be in addition to the concrete driveway, a concrete walkway. There'd be no reason to have such a cost increase for pavers when we're doing that amount of concrete.
And the doors are off that side for the
Correct.
adjacent home. Are these joined parcels? Are they consolidated or are they separate parcels?
Two separate parcels.
Okay. I was sort of excited to hear that you might have pavers, and I was going to encourage you to put it on the new building side, just to provide that sort of connection from the road back to the back, units, because it's a little awkward if, such a walking area that they're walking. And I know it's not uncommon, but these are houses, in the back, that I would just encourage you to study that. And then, even if it providing some score patterns or something to separate out, the walking area to the back units, your new ones are stamped would be beautiful, and take them up to the garage. So it becomes very clear, here's your drive, here's your part, like it provides a little bit of a presence and a more stately for those back units rather than just in an asphalt, or concrete drive. Little details like that, I think could really enhance the design. Can't read my own writing, hold on. Can't read my own writing. So the last comment would be this is such a odd little comment, but can you go back to the elevations? I'd encourage you just to continue studying the window over the gables, the rectangular shape. Just is not hitting it for me. It's not that historic shape or how it relates to the two gables. So I'd encourage you to keep studying that window because you have so much right, except for that window is just not right there. It's but it's like I said, that's just one of my personal, areas that I would encourage you to study. And those are my comments. But overall, I'm in support of it. I do agree with Mr. Strickland having a context elevation just to show the height of this and would be helpful on the street. And then even graying in where the adjacent building is that you own, in, let's say, the top left corner would be helpful to help demonstrate what will and will not be fully visible from the street. So that, it's good to see how they relate, but then the reality is, you may never see this vantage point. But those are overall, I'm in support of the projects.
Thank you.
Other questions and comments, Mr. Lozier?
No.
Sorry, you're pulling your mic.
No, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm in alignment agreement with my colleagues. I think the front elevation of the sort of single family home needs a little bit more attention, just from a massing perspective. It feels like it's almost there, but not quite there. And I don't know if it's the heaviness of the porch trim and its relation to the upper gable. And I think look at Mr. Sandberry's comment about studying the roof lines, and that may also help. So I think with the overall massing of that front elevation, I don't know if it doesn't seem like it's quite in balance yet. It's really close, but not quite there. And it may also be the small horizontal window that's also throwing it off a little bit. So what I might recommend is just take a look at some of the other historic homes, and that may help provide some additional ways of treating the front gables and the overall proportions of the massing. I think it's almost there, but it's just not quite yet. But overall, I'm in support of what you're doing here. I live in the neighborhood and drive past this fairly regularly, so it's nice to see filling in a little bit of a missing tooth within the block. So those are some of my comments. But
thank you.
And looking like it's moving in the right direction.
Thank you, Mr. Lozier. Mr. Dulac.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, good job. I think good direction. And I think this will be a great addition to the neighborhood. I would echo all the comments that have been made so far. And I think there is a pretty straightforward, to the degree that I understood the question posed to both the design review committee and to this body in terms of the modern versus historical. I think that's a little maybe oversimplified, but in light of that, I think the notion that from a massing perspective in general, the suggested studies of which way the gables go and really take a deep look at what's going on in the neighborhood is really a great suggestion, because I think that will give you some clues. I think we're all troubled and challenged by that little horizontal window because it does seem really alien, but I think it's indicative, as Mr. Loger said, of looking at proportions. I'm thinking as far as like, what is your windowsill height on that first floor, those larger windows? Everything seems a little too tall on the first floor. So I think if you really look at the pattern language or the old way of seeing perspective that's there, even if the detailing winds up being modern, I think if you get that massing, that next layer of love to get it right, I think you'll be good with that. And the proportions of the columns, I mean, the taller columns get the fatter they got to be. So these look tall and skinny. And I think the porch gable feels a little oversized. It's almost postmodern in that way. The other thing is I know the back building, which is, actually kind of a neat idea to have the simple shed housing of the back house. That's a Cleveland tradition of building houses in your backyard. And we're bringing it back with ADUs. I don't know that the horizontal trim is doing you any favors, honestly. It makes it look like a modular house, and I don't think it needs it. I think there's a simple, forthright elegance to what you're doing that really doesn't even need that level of embellishments. But I would also look at the neighborhood in terms of the proportions for the colors as well, and look at options. Is the second story, there's a lot of houses that have the first floor one color and the second floor in the gables another color. These are just suggestions. I think overall it's in the spirit of really further improving what I think is a really good start for something that feels both contextual and kind of, I see you working towards something that also has a bit of freshness to it, which I would support.
Thank you, Mr. Hewlett.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I want to just add in that I do like the design, because I actually thought the back of the house was the front of the house because of the garage, because down they're making front load garage in front of the house, the entrance. And I actually thought it was two different properties, but it's the front and the back, and I like that design. So this is the new way of design of how the next generation want their homes to look. But I want to agree with experts here at the table that I wanted to say something about the garage, but when it came up, that was the back. I was like, okay, but I like the whole design. So you did a great job. So thank you, Madam Chair.
The one comment or feedback we haven't given is on the parking or the adjacent. I think the hard thing is that you using them to provide the parking off the drive, have the shared drive.
Yeah, I think that was part of the zoning of it was a challenge. I think like they said, it was discussed at length and ultimately kind of decided it would be easier just to not, because there were those questions.
I was gonna say, because the
they're
existing
separate
driveway
parcels
is
and-
on the empty parcel right now.
Right.
So anytime anybody goes up that driveway, the two existing homes on the other parcel he owns, it doesn't have its own driveway.
Right, you need a cross property easement between the two. Which I'd say it's worth exploring, but we can't, encourage you unless you have that to put parking on the parcel that is not.
I was
part
gonna
of the
say,
zone.
which you'd be interested in, but you don't want to further complicate us building this.
I would rather that be a separate
Okay, perfect.
proposal.
Perfect.
Once we get
Yeah.
approval on the buildings.
Exactly. So, that was just wanted to give you some feedback. I think that's just trying to go through to my head is what we didn't answer. And that's one of the reasons why it gets a little complicated. So I think right now, keep it simple, keep it focused on what's on this parcel. And makes the review a little bit easier.
Very good.
Okay. Other questions and comments from the commission? Not seeing any, since this is a schematic review, we will not be voting. Do you feel like you received enough feedback to continue the development of your design?
Yeah, the comments were consistent enough. I feel like it's validating, so
Excellent.
that's helpful.
Excellent. Well, then we look forward to seeing you in the future for your final review when you're ready for that.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes our schematic design reviews. We'll now move on to our Cleveland Landmark nominations. We have one on the agenda. My contacts are really blurry. Carrie? Cyberstein House and Garage. Sorry, my contacts are really blurry.
Morning.
Good morning.
Yep, I know. Okay. All right, good morning, everyone. Thanks for your time this morning. We're here to talk about the Saperstein House and Garage, which is located in the Glenville neighborhood of Cleveland. It's located at 852 to 854 East 95th Street. Do we have that? Yeah. Gotta pace myself. There we go. Okay, so this property was actually brought to our office back in 2008 by the current owner, Henry Shepard. He's not here today, but we talked to him yesterday and he's really excited about this coming for your review today. The home was built in 1911 and then there's a garage in the rear that was built in 1919. And it's notable because it's where Jacob Saperstein, shown here in the image on the right, founded American Greetings, which is now headquartered in Westlake. Ava Schmidt, who was an AmeriCorps member back in 2021, did extensive research on this property, but just didn't have the time to bring it to the commission for review at that moment. So we're kind of bringing this back. She did most of the research. I filled in a couple gaps, but we have to thank her for all the work that she did on this. Okay, so as mentioned, this is located in the Glenville neighborhood of Cleveland. We do have some landmarks existing in this area. The East Boulevard National Register Historic District is located to the east as well, including Rockefeller Park and Cleveland Cultural Gardens. Empire Junior High School is to the south. We have a ton of churches in this area that are landmarked, as well as the Jerry Siegel House on Kimberly Avenue. For some context of the neighborhood, you can see in the upper left-hand corner image, our property that we're talking about today is in the middle. It's that yellow painted home, and there's two homes flanking it on either side. But by 2022, those were both demolished. The current owner told us that those side-by-side properties were demolished around like 2010. And then the images on the right show how the neighborhood has changed over time. There's been some reduction in density. But overall, it's a residential street with 1 and 2 family homes. So the house itself is a Cleveland double, has 2 units. It was built in 1911. It was designed by Edwin Hansen, and we don't know much about him. He lived in Cleveland. He immigrated from Sweden, and then eventually moved to New York. So that's all the data that we have on him. But this beautiful home, you know, it has original wood siding, these beautiful ionic columns that are shown in the image on the left there. It has only a few wood windows that are left. Recently, a tenant actually changed out all of the wood windows on the second floor and put in vinyl without the homeowner's consent, as we've been told. So there have been some changes since 2021 because those windows were intact at the time that Ava was doing all the research on this property. These are images of the side and rear of the property. That wood siding continues all the way around. Beautiful stone foundation. There are some original wood windows on both sides, as well as on this other slide, you'll see a beautiful leaded glass window. I believe it did have a partner on the other side of the home as well, but there is only one remaining here. It's really beautiful. And then a lovely porch detail that you can see in the image on the right. So this is the infamous garage. This is where American Greetings first got its start. And we'll talk more about this as we move through into the history of this property. But the garage was built in 1919. We have a permit on file where Jacob Saperstein filed for the permit for this, actually. So it's just a single-story brick garage, replacement garage doors, but I believe an original window here in the image on the right. The image on the left shows there's some bowing in the rear wall. What I thought was interesting, when Dan and I went out yesterday, we saw that the bottom in the image on the left, that bottom area shows where the garage was extended to like accommodate a longer hooded car, wider car, which I thought was really unique. But the interior is in some disrepair, is missing its roof. And the current homeowner did tell us that he purchased the property with it in this condition back in 2008. So I do have interior photos from 2021. We were not able to access the interior of the property yesterday. They're both tenant occupied. We do know that the upper unit has been modified. The homeowner is not aware of the current condition though, but presumes that some of the original features have been covered potentially. But these photos from 2021 show some beautiful features like plaster walls and ceilings, wood floors, fireplaces, built-ins, just really evocative of the Cleveland double style. So you see a few more images here. But as I've alluded to, a lot of the significance of this property is tied to Jacob Saperstein. And so let's dive into him a little bit more. So he actually immigrated to Cleveland, into Boston actually in 1905. The Hebrew Immigrant Aid Society sponsored his move here. And his mother, Molly, who's shown in the image on the right, wanted all of her kids to move to America, all 8 of her children to move here because of the Russian-Japanese war that was occurring at that time. The Russian Empire was recruiting Jewish men in Poland to fight in the war. So she wanted to protect her children. I'm not sure if all 8 did end up coming here, but she did immigrate here at some point. So the image on the left shows Saperstein around 1906. And the image in the middle shows him with his wife, Jenny, who he would meet in Cleveland eventually. Their son, Irving, is shown there, and then Jenny's sister is behind all of them. So after Saperstein moved to Boston, he then went to Chicago for a little bit of time and then moved to Cleveland in 1906. And when he arrived here, he worked at the Holland Inn Hotel, which was on Superior and is now demolished. But he did work there in their card shop, selling postcards, and apparently really enjoyed it because within 6 months, he started peddling postcards from a wagon, and that started his whole empire with postcards. So he lived at the time at 4510 Woodland Avenue, which has been demolished when he first started this business. And then he moved to 2500 East 40th Street, which has also been demolished. So we don't have a ton of records of those earlier years when he started peddling from the wagon. The address shown in the ad on the right is 2169 East 70th Street. We do have some records that he did operate his business out of there as well when he was still using the wagon. But that property has also been demolished, and where he operated around the 19 teens around there. The 3 children shown there, I believe, are Irving, Morris, and Harry, his 3 sons. His daughter Bernice was not born yet when this was captured, I suppose. So around 1918, the Saperstein family moved to 856 to 858 East 95th Street, which is directly next door to the property we're talking about today, actually, which is really interesting. They occupied the bottom unit, and you can see that image in the middle. Ava did some digging and pretty sure that that was taken at this property. You can see it on the right before it was demolished. And then the image on the left shows a screenshot of some sort of invoice with the address of 856. So we do know that he lived and worked here. And he actually did build a garage on this property as well, around 1918 or so. But he sold the property in 1919 to move next door to the nominated property we're talking about today. And I'm not exactly sure why, like what led him to purchase the nominated property, but it's a mystery. So here we are looking at the Sanborn map. So the red outline shows the nominated property. The blue outline shows the property I was just talking about next door. So you can see in 1912, it indicates that these properties were dwellings. We have a permit for the nominated property from 1911 that says it would be a dwelling. We're presuming that it was probably built as a two-family home. It just wasn't specified initially. But by 1951, you can see garages on both properties, both of which were built by Jacob Saperstein. So as I mentioned, in 1919, he applied for a permit to build the extant built a brick garage, which you can see in the image on the right, which shows Saperstein's son Irving from the 1960s. And actually, Maury Weiss, the former CEO of American Greetings and grandson-in-law of Jacob Saperstein, told Ava via email that, quote, "Pictures of this home, especially the picture of the garage, fit the description of the garage that was the first office and warehouse of American Greetings," which I think was really interesting, that they have some family lore about this site, and it's important to them because by the time that Irving visited this property, they had already sold it. So we'll talk a little bit more about that too. You can see the permit on the left. So here's a side-by-side comparison of the garage between the 60s and now. So you can see the doors have been changed. I'm assuming the doors in the image on the left were likely original because they pulled outward. The window configuration seems to be about the same, although it's been modified, but the overall form of the garage has been maintained. So uniquely, while operating his business out of this garage, Saperstein fulfilled his largest order. He secured a contract with Euclid Beach Park where he and his sons delivered 48,000 postcards in 1928. And the image on the left shows him and his sons, Morris and Irving, delivering those actually. And I think it equated to about $24,000 back in that time, which was a huge contract. So both of his sons joined the family business rather young. I found some documentation that Irving was working for him as young as 9, but these images show them at ages 17 and 19. And actually both sons, well, and then his other son and his daughter changed their last name to Stone in the 1940s as well. Okay. So by 1929, the Saperstein Greeting Card Company was established while operating out of this garage. So that is the predecessor company to American Greetings. It's the largest transformation in Saperstein's business, and it created the foundation for what would become American Greetings. The postcard on the left, I put a red box around where it says Saperstein Greeting Card Company because they started creating their own postcards in 1932. And I have some postcards we can pass around that have that on there. This is from Dan's neighbor. Some of them say American Greetings, but it started out as the Saperstein Greeting Card Company. And in 1932, when they started making their own, they moved to a warehouse on Yale Avenue. So just like one street over from East 95th Street, that's been demolished. And by 1936, they moved to 6815 Superior Avenue. And that's been demolished as well, unfortunately. And by 1937, they expanded to 11800 Superior Avenue, which is shown in the lower right-hand corner. And that's also been demolished, unfortunately. So, yeah.
Full circle.
It's very full circle. Okay. So the company was renamed to American Greeting Publishers in 1938. And at the same time, the family moved to 823 East Boulevard, which you can see in the image on the left. That home has been demolished as well. But it kind of shows how they stayed within, the confines of where the Jewish community was at the time. And in addition to his, business endeavors, Saperstein had strong ties to his Jewish community and was a benefactor of the Rabbinical College of Tel Shi and Hebrew Academy as well. So the company was experiencing immense growth at this time. So they moved their headquarters to 1300 West 78th Street in 1941. And then they opened a plant on Berea Road, which is shown in the image on the right, and it's still standing, luckily, which is really great. In 1952, the company was renamed American Greetings Corporation, which is the current name. And they went public that same year at $12 per share. In 1956, ground was broken for a plant on Memphis Avenue, which is shown in the image on the right. Back in 2017, once they vacated that property, actually. But you can see the immense size of that plant for the time. Now it's currently occupied by Medical Mutual mostly, just for reference. Saperstein retired as president in 1960, and his son Irving took his place, but he remained as chairman of the board until 1978. And that same year, his other son Morris took the role as president. So you can see the picture on the left has his sons in that image, as well as Maury Weiss, who was his grandson-in-law, who eventually would have a role as well. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But the company was staying within the hands of the family throughout this whole change in time. In 1980, one of their subsidies, Amtoy, created a line of characters called Those Characters from Cleveland, which was very interesting. They were having all this growth internationally and nationally, but still had very strong ties to Cleveland. So that line included the Care Bears, which is shown in the bumper sticker on the right that we found, well, Jessica found here in City Hall, actually. And also Strawberry Shortcake was a character from that line as well. So Amtoy was a subsidiary of American Greetings. So you can tell they were really growing at this time. Unfortunately, Jacob Saperstein passed away in 1987, but at 102 years old. So he had a very long, fulfilling life. And the company remained within the family. So eventually Maury Weiss, who I mentioned previously, he was husband to Saperstein's granddaughter, Judy Stone Weiss. He took over as CEO. And then Maury's son, Zev, took over after that. And actually, Ava was in contact with both of those men when she did this research as well, which I thought was really great. Today, the Weiss family does own a minority stake in American Greetings. There's been some ownership changes, but they do still have some stake. And the company has offices in Arkansas, California, Kentucky, Minnesota, North Carolina, Tennessee, Australia, Canada, China, Romania, and the UK, with upwards of 20,000 employees. And now they're headquartered in Westlake, Ohio, as of 2016, which is in Crocker Park. So overall, the Saperstein House and Garage tells the story of Saperstein's entrepreneurial spirit and grit. And I think it's significant as the birthplace of American Greetings, which is so influential to Cleveland's story. So even though they're now headquartered outside of like the Cleveland area, there's been such an impact throughout that time. Before I hand it over to Jessica and Dan, I do want to note that Ava did submit a National Register preliminary questionnaire for this property back in 2021. And the State Historic Preservation Office found it to be eligible under criteria A. And at the time that she did submit this, the garage did have, the missing roof. There were some changes, the condition was somewhat similar to what was happening today. They did still find it eligible due to the property's connection with American Greetings. And then Saperstein's, story with Jewish immigration and integration in the United States. So I appreciate your time and consideration. Thank you.
Really interesting. We'll then go to landmark staff recommendation.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Rachel, for the presentation. This is kind of part of our effort to expand our landmarks to further include properties with social significance and not just architectural significance. Those ones that you can drive by a million times and have no idea that they contributed such a significant part to Cleveland's history. As Rachel mentioned, we did do a site visit yesterday to check out the current conditions. I have some real concerns about, integrity and condition of the property and its longevity if there aren't some interventions in the near future. That being said, I think I would agree with the State Preservation Office that this is a significant piece of Cleveland's history, and it's significant enough that I personally feel like we should move forward with the nomination. Even though it is in, very poor condition, it's significant enough that it should be recognized. So I will leave it to you guys to discuss.
All right, thank you. Well, then we'll open up the floor of the commission for questions and comments. I guess I'll start with one that you and I had a brief, sort of touch right as we were beginning the meeting. The owner is in support of this nomination.
Yes, so he reached out to us, well, to the office, back in 2008, actually. I'm not sure in between then and 2021 what transpired. I do think there was some correspondence back and forth. And then 2021, he was really on board. But AmeriCorps, they just have such a limited time when they visit us. So we did visit him yesterday. He did sign the owner consent form, and I've been in contact with him leading up to this. So he's excited. And we did make him aware of what comes with landmark designation. So he's aware of that as well.
Other questions and comments? Mr. Lozier?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is great. It's unfortunate that, 99% of the buildings that you mentioned have been demolished. This seems to be the only one that's still remaining, and the most recent and former headquarters. So I think that this really is the opportunity to recognize Mr. Saperstein and his legacy in Cleveland. This is just more of a general question, but does landmark status provide any opportunity for additional grant funding or anything like that? Just thinking about the condition of the building or the property, and I don't know that there is, but just my own awareness.
Local designation at this point really only opens up the state historic tax credits, which would require, a significant rehab of the property. Right. So that's, I think, not realistic at this point. Potentially in the future. But yeah, we don't have a lot of funding opportunities right now.
I'm hoping to potentially see if he knows about some of the funding that we do through community development. If he hasn't looked at those paths before, because if he does get federal funding, then I have to review that as part of Section 106. So that could be another tool, but I'm just not sure if he's gone down that path before or not. So I will bring it up to him though.
Awesome. Yeah, but amazing research. Kudos to you and team and everyone. Yeah, great. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks to all involved. This is a great example of what Secretary Musson is talking about, where these stories get revived because there's this house and this garage. I love the garages involved. Silicon Valley, I think, sometimes likes to think that they invented the proverbial garage that changed the world. Were postcards the first emails? I don't know. But I think there's a resonance with how we are as Americans somehow, and how we invent things, how we do business, and how we communicate with each other. There's this really big, I don't want to use the word meta, but hey, I gotta, there's this meta story here, that the fact that this, not necessarily the last in a long line of structures that were part of the story, most of which are lost. Thank you for helping the buck stop with this set of edifices, because I think they really, really are important. So thanks to everybody involved. This is great.
If I can just jump in and piggyback, I did want to thank John Abbott for donating these postcards. I sent him a text yesterday when we were discussing this and said, hey, do you have any, Jacob Saperstein postcards? And he said, yeah, a ton. And, Jessica went through the pile that he had given me a few months ago, and she found these examples just in what he had given to our office. So he's a postcard collector, whatever. There's probably some fancy name for that, but he's contributes to the office's stuff fairly often.
A wonderful asset. Any other questions, Mr. Dooley?
Oh, no, maybe they were the first texts. I don't know.
There you go. Okay. I guess I'm in some, I'll go next. My I'm in full support of this. My only question is knowing that the imbalance of this homeowner where it is, the garage, I think is a no-brainer, and should be, designated. The house, just because of, as we said, getting that opportunity for funding for, it appears like that would be a benefit to him to have those funding opportunities. But are they, there for him to restore such a large house and the garage? The garage is the piece that I think is, absolutely needs to be designated. I only asked, just trying to get that balance of, reality that, I think that's, the house is very important also. But the garage is the, is the impetus of American Greetings. So at least to say the start of the business versus everything in between is, and definitely I'm in support. I'm not against the house. I only asked the question of trying to create that balance, for the owners too, in the area with everything that's going on around it. But I'm in support, of the garage at minimum, if not both structures.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point, something to consider. I mean, I know they did live in the home. They owned it until 1943, so like 3 decades, but we don't have a ton of, maybe the significance is with the garage, I would say. But they did live there. I don't know if Secretary Musson has an opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something we've thought about and sort of discussed a bit internally, but I think social history of a property is different than architectural. You know what I mean? It's I think fully knowing the history, at least, this body with its current members would know if the owner of the property came forward and wanted to replace the existing windows, where's the significance of the property lie? Is it really with those windows or is it with the garage? And so I think, moving forward, I'm comfortable with the house and garage, but just with the understanding that the real significance lies with the garage. And, staff would be happy to remind that the commission of that when if work was proposed on the house that didn't necessarily meet the standards that we normally would hold. It's kind of given its condition and given that the real significance lies with the garage. That being said, if the commission would prefer to just move forward with designating the garage but not the house, that I think is also a reasonable and sound approach. But
I'm devil's advocate.
right.
Other questions and comments from the commission?
Thank you, Madam. Just another observation. I don't know if providing landmark status might be something to have a discussion with American Greetings. Maybe they have an interest in helping to preserve their own history. So, us landmarking this agreeing to landmark this building, maybe there's some opportunity there. So
I think that's a great point. I know that Ava did talk to Zev and Maury, but back in 2021, and neither are in leadership roles anymore. So I do think it could be worth asking them and seeing if they would like to do that. Yeah.
Kind of kick off and adopt a landmark kind of program. I like it.
Other questions or comments? Yes, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess I have a more kind of personal comment to make. So my family's last name used to be Saperstein also. I have no idea if there's any actual connection to Jacob Saperstein, but my family last name was changed when my great uncle Albert came from Poland to the United States, and he wanted to go to medical school, but he thought Saperstein was too Jewish of a name to get in. So he changed it to Sabin after a famous doctor at the time, Florence Sabin. So yesterday when I met Dan, I shared the story with him and he asked, what does Saperstein mean? So I asked my sister, and it means sapphire stone. So the fact that this family has changed their name to Stone is also like, a nod to that translation. So just wanted to share that, and thank you so much for all the research that you all did. It's really cool to see this history presented like this. So thank you.
That's excellent. Thank you. Connections, Cleveland connections. I All right, other questions and comments? Or would someone like to put forward a nomination?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to nominate the 852 to 854 East 95th Street house and garage for a local landmark.
Thank you. So we have a motion or a nomination. Sorry, do we have a second?
Madam
Chair.
Second.
All right, thank you, Dr. Williams, for the second. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. Mr. Musson, please call roll.
Mr. Dulick?
Yes.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Lozier?
Yes.
Ms. Saban?
Yes.
Mr. Sandberry?
Yes.
Mr. Strickland? Oh, Mr. Strickland had to step away, sorry. Mr. Trasick?
Yes.
Dr. Williams?
Yes.
And Ms. Trott?
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
All right. Excellent. Thank you for all the hard work and bring this forward. Oh, yeah, postcard. Beautiful. That concludes our Cleveland Landmark nominations. I will then move on to Design Review Advisory Committee appointments.
All right, thank you, Madam Chair. First off, we have proposed staff appointment to the Greater Northeast Historic Design Review Advisory Committee. We're recommending Anthony Bango for appointment to that committee. Known Tony for a lot of years. He used to be the Housing Development Office Manager down in Community Development. He's moved into the private sector, but good resident of Cleveland and looking forward to serving on the committee if you so choose to appoint him. I sent out his resume, I believe, earlier this week.
All right, so everyone did receive the resume. Are there any questions or comments about the nomination? Not seen any. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve
To appoint Anthony Bango.
Anthony Bango to the Greater Northern Historic Design Review Advisory Committee.
All right, so we have a motion for appointment. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Dulick. We have a second. Any further discussion? Not seeing any. Mr. Musson, please call.
Mr. Dulick?
Yes.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Lozier?
Yes.
Ms. Saban?
Yes.
Mr. Sandberry?
Yes.
Mr. Trasick?
Yes.
Dr. Williams?
Yes.
And Ms. Trott?
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
All right, and then we have a reappointment for the Greater Cuyahoga Valley Historic Design Review Advisory Committee.
So if you flip the agenda over, there's a whole long list of names. So this is essentially these people were all appointed after we did our major overhaul of the design review process, introduced the regions, introduced the new design review advisory committees. And, as part of that, everyone was appointed to a 2-year term. Their terms are up technically under 2 years on March 28th. So we just wanted to kind of get in the formal process of reappointing when people's terms were expiring. So these are all members of the committees listed on the front and back. They've all expressed an interest in continuing to serve. So we would recommend appointment of all the individuals listed on the agenda being appointed to the committees listed on the agenda.
Okay.
So we don't have to name every committee and every list. I think we can.
Got it. I was confused when I looked at that on the agenda.
That's fair.
But it makes more sense now. So, excellent. Questions and comments?
Just one question, just general question. If there's a coworker or anyone on this list, would one need to recuse themselves from any particular appointment? Or I don't know
I think unless there are financial entanglements, it's, I guess, Cleveland's a small enough community that I think we all have dealings with a lot of people on the various committees, so I don't think there's need to recuse unless you feel there is.
I don't feel that there is in this instance. Okay, great.
I guess I'm making an assumption, but all of these people have agreed to a second term.
Correct, yes. We did have a individual or two who said, hey, can't serve anymore, it doesn't work with schedule or whatever, so they are not included in this list.
And where does that put us? I know we talked about this before with those decisions not to be reappointed. Does it give quorum for every? Jessica has some feedback on that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I can take that question. So with the small changes, we had one person request a different committee just based on scheduling, another person based on they live in a different area, another person requested to leave based on not being able to make the meetings. And so with those changes, the committees are all 7 people or over. So most of the committees have 8 members on them with the reappointments and the appointment of Anthony Bango earlier today. One has 7 members and then one has 9 members. And so we're still under the 11 member max. But we're still well above what we consider a very low number, which was 5. So they're all in a very good place.
And just for clarification, this is not every single member of each committee. There were some that were appointed, outside of March or, as recently as the last few months. So they're not included in this. Those we'll deal with as they come up.
That was why I was asking. I
Yeah,
didn't know if
yes,
this is like everybody, but it seems less than the 7 to 8 that you've been mentioning are on each committee, so that's helpful. Okay, other question, Mr. Samberry, did that answer your question? Other questions and comments?
Sure.
Mr. Dooley?
Yeah, just thanks again to all involved, especially the staff. I know it's hard work, finding folks and doing all of that work. So just on behalf of these design review committees, being at full capacity, really do a great job enabling us to make more informed decisions and be a better commission. So thanks to everyone, especially staff.
Agreed, great comment. And just for on that comment and also the one I asked, so there's still room. So if there was one question that was circulated about if there are people that are interested in joining any of the committees that they should submit their resume to Jessica and Dan for review and when it's appropriate to appoint or be considered for appointment.
Yes, yeah, there's room on every committee still, and it's sort of a rolling application period, as people are interested in participating, they reach out and then we talk to them and figure out schedules and stuff and when it might fit in. And then, so yeah, if you know people who are interested, absolutely have them reach out.
Excellent. All right, with that said, would someone like to make a motion for reappointment of everyone listed on the agenda? Sorry. Someone like to make a motion to, I'm sorry, Mr. Dillon. Sorry about that.
No problem. Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve or to
I'd say to reappoint.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to reappoint all of the members of the Design Review Advisory Committee as presented on this list to Landmarks Commission.
Okay, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lozier. We have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? All right, not seeing any. Mr. Musson, please call roll.
Mr. Dulick?
Yes.
Councilmember Gray?
Yes.
Mr. Lozier?
Yes.
Ms. Saban?
Yes.
Mr. Samberry?
Yes.
Mr. Trasick?
Yes.
Dr. Williams?
Yes.
And Ms. Trott?
Yes.
Madam Chair, the motion passes unanimously.
Excellent. Then move on to administrative reports.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Not much to report. Just wanted to welcome again our newest commission member. So happy to have you.
Yes, welcome. All right, well then if that is it, then we will adjourn today's meeting and see everyone at the next meeting in 2 weeks on March 26th.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.